Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to the one I dropped the other day entitled Ibrahim Traoré receives his report card from the World Bank. And in that video, I was basically going over an article that recently came out by the World Bank where they essentially gave their report card, their analysis of the economic performance of the captain, the president of Burkina Faso, His Excellency Ibrahim Traoré. Now, keep in mind, the World Bank is essentially the economic arm, the economic intelligence arm of the West, right? So they have no reason to be biased in his favor or say anything good about him. In fact, they have all the reason to slander him. But even though, like I said, they're the economic intelligence arm of the West, right? To my surprise, they actually gave him a very positive review, right? Because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie, right? Your personal feelings don't have any effect on the numbers on the paper, right? The numbers are the numbers. So despite their biases, despite their slander, despite the propaganda that we have seen being perpetrated against the captain himself, at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. So even if they don't like him, even if they don't like his style of governance, even if they don't like the method he took to come to power, at the end of the day, the results are the results. And in the review, the World Bank said that despite the fact that the nation is combating terrorist, jihadist insurgency and terrorist attacks, the GDP continues to grow, poverty continues to drop, the fiscal deficits continue to shrink, revenue continues to increase for the government and for the common citizen. That's simply the cold hard facts on the ground, right? So to my surprise, man, even the World Bank had to tip their hat and show respect. Now, in today's video, what I want to talk about is a specific part from that article, right? I want to talk about the reduction in poverty, right? Take a look up on the screen. The World Bank said this: the strong growth in the agriculture and service sector in 2024 reduced the extreme poverty rate by 3 points to 23.2%, with a sharper decline in rural areas. Now, the total population of Burkina Faso is 23.03 million people as of 2023. So a 3% drop in poverty means that essentially almost 700,000 people were lifted out of poverty in a single year, right? About 690,000, right? Basically, 700,000. So 700,000 people in a single year were lifted out of poverty. Now, keep in mind, we have to add the context to really understand the gravity of the situation. You're talking about a nation that has undergone international sanctions. You're talking about a nation that is currently combating a terrorist jihadist insurgency. You're talking about a nation that has undergone regional and international diplomatic isolation. You're talking about a nation who the Western media says that every single day he's losing territory to the terrorists and the jihadists. But even with all those factors working against him, he still managed to bring almost 700,000 people out of poverty, reduce poverty by 3%. Now, time out. Where does that ever happen? On what planet does that happen where a nation is under siege by terrorist jihadists, was suffering regional and international backlash and isolation and sanctions and border closures, and according to the Western media, he's losing territory every single day, every single week to the terrorists? But somehow, almost 700,000 people now have more money in their pocket, are now eating better, earning more money, their living conditions have improved. And the World Bank in the article said that the long-term and medium-term prospects look positive and growth is expected to rise even higher, right? Which means that even more people are projected to come out of poverty in the future. Now, how is this possible for a nation currently combating a terrorist jihadist insurgency? Because usually when a country is under attack, when a country is under siege, right? When you have terrorists, causing mayhem and instability, usually people tend to fall deeper into poverty. The poverty levels tend to rise because the farmers cannot farm because of insecurity. The markets cannot be open and active because of insecurity. The services cannot be, the services in agriculture cannot operate to its full capacity because of insecurity, right? And when you have an environment that is not secure, you cannot engage in commerce. In order to engage in commerce effectively, you need security. You need peace and stability. Now, there have been other African nations over the past couple of decades that have also lifted a decent amount of their population out of poverty, but it was never in a single year. It was never in a single year. Usually it was over a long-term period, 10 years, 20 years. Then you saw numbers like these. But in a single year, damn near 1 million people out of poverty while fighting a war. That's unheard of, brother. That is unheard of. That is unheard of, bro. People coming out of poverty during wartime, unheard of. And keep in mind, those other nations that also lifted their citizens out of poverty, They never did it in a single year. It was a long-term period. And on top of that, they were not battling a terrorist jihadist insurgency, right? They were not under attack. They were not diplomatically and internationally sanctioned and isolated, right? They did so with the full backing of the West, with international sponsors and donors. They did it during peacetime and stability, right? There was no insurgency happening within their borders, right? And even then, it took them a longer time to achieve the same accomplishment. Those other nations were not dealing with any insurgency within their borders, and they had the white man holding their hand, and it still took them a longer time to achieve the same thing. So what I'm saying is, show respect when respect is due, right? Pay homage when a black man standing in front of you who deserves the homage. You better pay homage and show respect when the black man deserves his flowers. Now, of course, we can compare, the captain to other African nations, other African leaders, but I want to compare him to the world powers. I want to compare him to, the United States, France, the Western nations who are seen as the model, the gold standard. Let's compare him to their leaders, right? And then we can really, digest the information. Take a look up on the screen. United States child poverty in 2023, right? Let's get into it. We are failing our nation's children in this regard. The United States Census Bureau reports that nearly 14% of children, nearly 10 million children in the United States lived in households with incomes below the poverty threshold in 2023. This represents a 10% increase in child poverty from 2022, resulting in almost 1 million more children experiencing poverty in a year. Now, as you can see, the captain himself, he's bringing his children out of poverty. In the United States, American children are falling deeper into the abyss of poverty. For American children, poverty has increased by 10%. Could you imagine how the Western media would be slandering the captain if poverty increased for Burkinabe children by 10%? Almost 1 million children fell deeper into poverty. They'll be calling him a corrupt, incompetent leader. Oh, he's embezzling the state resources. Oh, look at the dilapidated economic situation, right? But listen, man, Burkinabe children coming out of poverty, American children falling deeper into the pit. And keep in mind, there is no terrorist jihadist insurgency in the United States, right? The United States has an endless amount of resources and the treasury is massive, but even still, American children falling deeper into the pit of poverty and dilapidation. So tell me again, why should black men, African men, take notes from Western men on how to govern our economies when your children are falling deeper into the abyss of poverty and our children are actually eating better, earning more money? Money is circulating in the economy. Tell me why the captain should take notes from you. You can't even keep your children out of poverty. Please, I'm not hearing none of that. And that's why even the World Bank, even though they're not a supporter of the captain, but they had no choice but to pay homage and give credit where credit is due, because the results speak louder than rhetoric, right? Your democracy rhetoric is not keeping your children out of poverty, right? You're not showing your work. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look up on the screen. How are poverty levels around the European Union as the French rate hits a 30-year high? Yes. As American children fall deeper into the pit, in France, the poverty rate has hit a 30-year high. We have never seen poverty this high in France, right? So at the same time, while the captain is bringing his economy back from the dead, Western economies are literally headed towards the grave. Now let's continue. In the past 3 years, at least 11 European countries have seen an increase in poverty levels. Women and young adults are more likely to face poverty or social exclusion, right? Listen, your women and children falling deeper into the pit of poverty. Meanwhile, Burkinabe women, their lives are gradually getting better by the day. Listen, man, listen. Maybe you should take notes from the black man. Let's continue. The share of the French population with a standard of living below or around the poverty rate has increased, fueling social anger, right? So the French population is angry at the higher cost of living, the increased poverty, the rising taxes and the rising prices, right? It's terrible. It's awful. Let's continue. France's middle class feels downgraded and is turning towards the far right, right? So now these guys, they going broke. So now they're becoming more racist. Listen, they going broke. So now they're becoming more racist and anti-black. Let's continue. France has registered worrying numbers, with the poverty rate reaching its highest level since 1996. Bro, I was a toddler. It rose from 14.4% to 15.4% in a single year, according to France's Bureau of Statistics. Now, listen, man. Listen, of course, it's still early. It's still early in the captain's administration. I already said that he needs more time in office to really see the fruits of his labor and really make a widespread change. Right now, currently, we're seeing the seeds, starting to blossom, but it's still in the early stages. But as we can see, the same exact nations that have been lecturing us and wagging their fingers at us, particularly the United States and France, we can take a look at their economic performance in the same time period as the captain's economic performance, and we can see who's the better administrator. We can see who's the better governor. We can see who's the better leader. I mean, you could look at the United States, the amount of homeless individuals literally sleeping on the street, eating out of the garbage. The amount of children in poverty more than doubled. We look at France, the GDP, the public debt has surpassed the GDP. The debt is exploding. Unemployment is rising. The cost of living is exploding. The public services are being cut and destroyed. I mean, come on, man. And like I said, these two nations, the United States and France, there is no Islamic terrorist jihadist insurgency causing instability, right? You have full access to the global economic institutions, right? All the investors you need, all the leverage you need. You're not diplomatically isolated, no sanctions, no nothing. You have everything you need to succeed. And even still, you are failing miserably. So listen, stop wagging your finger at the captain. Stop trying to lecture the captain on democracy and focus on getting your children out of poverty, right? Donald Trump, right? General Michael Langley, right? Emmanuel Macron, focus on decreasing the youth unemployment. Right? Focus on actually stabilizing your economy and balancing the budget, right? Focus on that. Focus on that, because when it comes to, governing and being an administrator, Ibrahim Traoré is superior to both Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Emmanuel Macron put together. End of discussion. The numbers are the numbers. The facts are the facts. I don't care anymore. Now, anyways, man, it's your boy Nefakari Desalim, 21 Cannons, first single off the new project. Link in the description, pin comment at the top, subscribe to the Patreon, and I'm actually going to continue this conversation on the Patreon later today. So anyways, I'm gone. Peace.
Yeah, walk in the room and I stop all that talking. Stay on alert and I'm moving with caution. Feeling like baby, I'm up in New Orleans. Feeling like Stunner, feeling like Wheezy. Look at my neck and my wrist is Fiji. Trying to get cash, I don't wanna be famous. Look at my neck and my wrist contagious. Ain't no stopping when I get started. Ain't no stopping, gotta go harder. Drop that top, whip go brainless. Chasing that check, I ain't trying to be famous. Whipping that Benz, feeling like spaceships. Everything official, ain't no fake shit. Doors unlocked, community gated. Look at this ice, bet they gon' hate it. Look at my life, enemy vanquish. Then it's on sight, gun in your faces. Look at that love, turn to hatred. Kill my ops like a Haitian. Ain't no love, ain't no honor, ain't no trust, ain't no conscience. I ain't perfect, but I'm honest. Enemy lurking, enemy watching, enemy stalking, taking photos 24/7. Straight surveillance, hit a new spot, change location. Shorty got wet off my cadence. Just see ice, but I got papers. Ladies love me, and I got flavors. Ain't no love in these streets. Nèg yo jaloux, yo méchant. Got them chains off my feet, by the sword and by the gun. They throw flowers at my feet, and they say that I'm the one, and they say that I'm the target. When they see me, they pay homage. Shorty talking about divesting, she with Malibu most wanted. When I go and get that check, I put it up and make it stack. Breaking that bank, whipping that Benzo. When I pull off, it go fast. Need a Fortune 5 accountant just to count up all this cash. Got these Sambos trying to sue me just to make me walk it back. Yeah, walk in the room and I stop all that talking. Stay on alert and I'm moving with caution. Feeling like baby, I'm up in New Orleans. Feeling like Stunner, feeling like Wheezy. Look at my neck and my wrist is Fiji. Trying to get cash, I don't wanna be famous. Look at my neck and my wrist contagious. Ain't no stopping when I get started. Ain't no stopping, gotta go harder. Drop that top, whip go brainless. Chasing that check, I ain't trying to be famous. Whipping that Benz, feeling like spaceships. Everything official, ain't no fake shit. Doors unlocked, community gated. Look at this ice, bet they gon' hate it. Look at my life, enemy vanquish. And it's on sight, gun in your faces. Look at that love, turn to hatred. Kill my ops like a Haitian. Ain't no love, ain't no honor, ain't no trust, ain't no conscience. I ain't perfect, but I'm honest. Enemy lurking, enemy watching, enemy stalking, taking photos 24/7. Straight surveillance, hit a new spot, change location. Shorty got wet off my cadence. Just see ice, but I got papers. Ladies love me, and I got flavors. Ain't no love in these streets. Nèg yo jaloux, yo méchant.